How are you, my child?
You look very, very grandma sexy, which is a weird phrase I've never had to put together before. Tell me about this look. Look at those mustard gloves. What is this look? What is this feeling? What is this century? What are we doing?
Thank you. Oh, thank you. I'm feeling very like, what's the actors union called again? Do you remember?
SAG-AFTRA?
SAG-AFTRA? Yeah, well, I feel like there was another word, like, what they would say that I'm in the, whatever. I'm feeling very theatrical, yes.
You do look like a stewardess from the 1930s, if they existed.
Thank you. Yes, I feel like,
Thank you. Oh my God, thank you.
Here's your seat. Here's your quinine.
Yes.
We hope you have a great flight. I also feel like I'm veering back into my home territory, which is like young Cruella looks.
Yes.
And let me just tell you, these gloves are my grandmother's. And she had very long fingers. This was the most decadent pair that she had, because back in the day, the longer your gloves were, the more formal the affair. So this like ruched, it's like not even very far up the wrist, but this ruched up the wrist moment was very like, I'm stepping out. Like here's
Easter. That's Easter Sunday shit. Like yes. You don't pull that out for ordinary time.
For just anyone.
You know, my great grandmother had a bunch of short gloves that, of course, I wore in my 20s, and then, of course, they're gone. But I still have her veil that she wore to church on Sundays, because when she was a Catholic, it's this black lace veil, and she would wear it. It's so sexy, and it's not supposed to be sexy, but it's just like so like because Jesus couldn't see you. I don't know. It was such bullshit, crazy ass Catholics.
So I don't know about this. Why did you wear a veil to church?
Well, it was out of respect. So pre-Vatican II, Vatican II was a big conference, Catholic conference, I think in the 50s. Up to Vatican II, church was still said in Latin everywhere.
Oh, wow.
So
also school me, mommy. I'm here for this.
Vatican II, sensual topics. But like there was all these insane rules, and now they still have insane rules, but they're in English.
Wow.
Or your native tongue. Yeah, so you used to have to wear a veil, and like not have sex before marriage. JK, that's still a thing. And they still think we're an abomination for gay marriage. Shouts to the Pope.
Have they ever
stopped? The progressive one.
Yes. Have they ever stopped for a moment to think that maybe I think they're an abomination?
Oh, they are.
Did that ever cross their minds?
I don't think it did. It should. Most corrupt and richest organization in the fucking history of the world. Anyways, we don't need to get into my baggage. Tell me about your baggage, Queen. How are you?
Do you want to see the baggage? Would you like me to?
Fuck yeah, I do.
Have a stand.
I thought, have a stand, Rebecca Reams. Yo.
All right, so here on This Good Evening, if you think about it too much, it's sort of Ronald McDonald with the dark red and yellow. So like
but we don't have to think about it too much.
It's like an elegant Happy Meal, maybe. But I do like that this is sort of a palazzo jumpsuit. So I sort of like to think about this as like Miss Phryne Fisher from Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries.
Love it.
The little neckerchief does give you it gives you like the stewardess realness.
I love it. I think you're ready to host a murder mystery party for sure. I think you're absolutely ready.
I'm ready to be every character in Clue wrapped into one.
Yeah. Yes. Madeline Kahn, Tim Curry, you name them.
Yes,
you got it.
Yes. Also, why do I feel like I'm a fusion of Roger and Cruella from Disney's 101 Dalmatians?
Yes.
It's like,
I actually didn't think about it, but it's like
such clever lyrics.
Very like sensual Hamburglar with the ketchup and the mustard colors as well.
Thank you. Maybe a condiment queen.
Yes, condiment queen. Stay safe.
Yeah.
We love
it. Tell me about this sexy little number you have on right here. What is this?
This is a yoga tank top that I'm obsessed with, that I wear just out, and I love it. And it is my favorite because it is the flag. It is the Ohio flag.
Yes, that is my favorite shirt. That is definitely my favorite shirt.
But my favorite part of it is nobody ever knows it's the Ohio flag, because nobody knows the fucking Ohio flag. I was at a show.
Yes.
I was at a show in Athens, Ohio, And there's this comedian who was like, I didn't know you were Puerto Rican. And I was like, bitch, I'm not Puerto Rican. What are you talking about? And she's like, well, why are you wearing the Puerto Rican flag? That's appropriation. And I was like, fair. I would not wear the Puerto Rican flag. This is the fucking Ohio flag. So it was a really hilarious conversation.
Yeah.
And
also, ma'am, you live here.
It's like, how do you not know it? But it definitely breaks flag laws, which I love. Love to break a good flag law, changing the color of the flag. Oopsie coopsie on that.
Sam, thank you. Thank you for seeing my Hamburglar truth. And also, we have Miss Cat Colorful here, and Cat also corroborates the Cruella vibes. So thank you, Cat. You know,
Hi, Cat.
I learned how to rhinestone from Miss Cat Colorful. She showed me the way.
Oh, I feel like we just have like a wise sage now on the call.
We do. Teachers, guides, sages, they're all in the room with us. In the room. And
we love it.
When I was a young gay, there comes a moment in every young woman's life where they discover they're homosexual. And Miss Cat Colorful took me under her wing and said, this is E6000, darling. It's a colloidal industrial adhesive. And you're going to want to ensure that there's appropriate ventilation in the room.
Oh, yeah, that'll get you.
Yes.
Every once in a while when we lived together, I'd be worried I'd lose you on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, Eileen's been in her room a little too long, and she's glittery and rhinestoney, and I'm a little worried.
She's been huffing the glue, and not like in the fun way, like in the she's been rhinestoning for 6 hours because she has a show next week.
Yes, and she forgot. So tell me what we're dishing on. I baked for y'all.
Honey, I baked. That is the fantasy. That's the truth. So tonight, as usual, we have, we like to pack the agenda. So we have a lot of topics to cover tonight, but chief among them is putting yourself out there. So what does that mean, Brooke? What does putting yourself out there mean? Because I had enough issues before when I was worried about hurting people and being hurt by them just by being near them. And now we have to worry about that in a literal sense. So, it's even harder now. So how do you navigate vulnerability in, I might hurt you, I can't, I don't know if I should touch you. Exactly.
Well, and I think in a lot of ways, the queer community is really set up for this.
Yeah.
Because we lived through one pandemic in the 80s with the HIV/AIDS crisis that the government ignored.
Thank you.
Shouts to that. So shouts to Reagan, fucking, and controversial yet brave. Reaganomics doesn't work. But what I will say is that I think you kind of find the way you can dip your foot back in the pool, however you can. And I think, especially, obviously, we want to be vaccinated. The real question tonight and the real thing that is going to split the room, I think, is do you, if you are trying to kind of be out as non-monogamous or be out as poly, and maybe this is a new space for you coming out of the pandemic, how do you let people know? So how do you do it? Do you get a joint online dating profile, or do you keep it separate and trust that your partner will also keep theirs separate? This is the question of the night. But before we get there, we have to get to my ridiculous tart.
Okay. All right. I have a lot to say, as you know, because Brooke, we've talked about this off the record many times.
Off the fucking record.
So this is going to be a spicy discussion. But before we get to that, you're just going to have to stay tuned, dear viewers, because we have to get to the dish. We have to get to tonight's dish. So, Brooke, what have you generously... Thank you again for giving me the night off. It was... You know what? Work was crazy. Just thank you. I owe you... I owe you a dish. I owe you a drink. I owe you lots of things. But cheers to you. So, what have you made us tonight, Brooke?
I have hit new levels of white lady. I made a French tort from the New York Times Magazine that was delivered to my house. 3 out of 3. That's what we call a white lady hat trick. You're welcome.
Bingo.
And I had too much wine when I was making it, and it was a complete and total fiasco.
Well, now you're just showing off. You're showing off in white lady. Yeah, 4 out of 4.
So do you have the dish cam up?
So we're looking at a picture now of the dish. What would you say is the difficulty of this?
So it is fucking hard.
Is that a technical term?
It is. It's French for hard. And it's extremely difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, I got distracted by my dog who was licking her butt. JK, she can't reach it. We should try so hard though, little crumb.
She'll get back
so
there.
This is a tough tart. You need to use, so the dough you see has to be made and then chilled for 3 hours, 3 to 24 hours. So this is an extremely time-consuming thing in terms of that, or it cannot be, but it's an all-night thing, right? You got to go to it and come back.
Yes. Stages. You got to stage
The dough is pastry dough, so it's very sensitive to temperature. And even the egg wash, you want to make sure the water's super cold when you add the water to the egg wash before you do the egg wash on top of it. It's just very whatever. But I also listened to the New York Times that said when it comes out of the oven, let it sit for 5 minutes and then immediately flip it. Which of course is fucking impossible because I just have I don't know how to do that. So I flipped it and then I got hot jam all over my hands and I burned my fingers with hot jam.
Oh no.
And it broke into a million pieces. But here's the thing, it broke into a bunch of pieces, but it actually, I think, turned out really good. And now there's a little crystallized, caramelized raspberry jam on the top.
All right, well show us. You're on the dish cam, girl.
Okay, let's see if we can get.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love the sort of what's the word I'm looking for? It's sort of like a mottled color. It's a mix of color.
Yes, so it's marbled.
Yeah, marbled. There it is. Thank you.
And absolutely delicious, absolutely not dairy-free, absolutely amazing.
Absolutely not dairy-free.
I've discovered it's a gâteau basque. You can Google it. Mm-hmm. I did it with raspberry jam. The recipe called for cherry. I like a tart. And the cherry was just going to be too sweet, I think. So I always go with a raspberry when I see cherry on the menu.
Okay.
And I cooked it a little long because I like mine a little crunchy and crusty. See that? So that's what we're going to try.
That's because you're a summer and I'm a winter.
Girl. All right. So this is it. And it's I really love this as a breakfast pastry for brunch. You know what I mean? It would go really well with coffee or tea.
Yes. It does, in consistency, it looks a little similar to a coffee cake. In that the dough looks like it was pretty buttery. Oh, is it good? Oh, give her a moment, everyone. Give her a moment. Give her space.
Girl, this is worth every minute of cardio today. Holy shit. So it's so good. It's almost like a scone and a tort had a baby.
A scone and a tort had a baby. Write that down.
Write that down. But cut it in post.
Write that down.
So nice. And I didn't use as much raspberry as the recipe called for either, because I don't like a thick jam layer.
Oh, Doc Malady's joined us tonight. Hi, Doc. We love Doc. Doc comes to all the functions, all the burlesque functions. And he says, first of all, he had a yum emoji, and then he said, hot jam. And so...
Hot jam!
Hot jam!
Oh my God, we need to have, it's Jams Dean on here, and then we could really do a hot jam number.
Yeah, we have to go through the jams with Jams Dean. Oh my God, that's a good segment. Jams with Jams Dean. Hello.
Oh my God. Don't cut it in post.
And
Keep
also,
it in post.
he points out that French vanilla ice cream would also be really good with this as maybe like a dessert, an after-dinner dessert with some coffee.
Absolutely, yes, and I served it with dessert the first night, and did serve it with a Haagen-Dazs French vanilla.
Delicious.
You nailed it. And you don't need a lot, which I really love about this because it's such a decadent dessert. So you make it in a pie crust. The recipe is only 8 inches and it doesn't raise that much. So it's a pretty small, it's 8 inches in circumference. I mean, nothing to bark at, but you know what I'm saying. So you make the slices pretty narrow and something like that, like a homemade whipped cream or a vanilla ice cream on top.
Yes.
Boldly choose a rum raisin if you're really feeling out there, but it is so buttery and good. You don't need anything that would distract you from the flavor. I would definitely do a vanilla based, something that would complement because there's already vanilla in it. But it really isn't bad once you get the dough, like once you get it together. I would just say, fuck the New York Times for telling me to take out a hot. You have no idea how much Pinot Noir I went through making this.
I'm so sorry that you burned yourself.
I chilled it, and then I made dinner, and then I had more wine. And then I went back to finish it. So we had dessert at 10:45. But it is a delicious buttery treat, and if you are interested, just Google gâteau basque. They're everywhere. And it is really it also is very impressive to make for parties.
Yeah,
So cheers to that.
It's beautiful. It looks very short in terms of like shortbread. Like it looks like it has a lot of butter in the recipe. And I love, I love raspberry because girl, get yourself a refill. You had a hard day at work. I love a raspberry because I think it's a very versatile fruit. You know?
It is.
You can pair raspberry with a lot of different things as opposed to rum raisin to me is like Christmas. You know, it's Christmas or it's a very rich thing. Like, you better be cracking up on a bottle of port.
Girl, you love... Okay, also, we're going to have a whole other topic about port and your love of port, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. So, take me off the dish cam. I survived.
Yes. One step ahead of you. We're back to main chat.
Tell me,
Brooke
girl.
and Eileen have entered the chat.
Okay, tell me, joint couples account or single couples account? As we head back into this world, as we try to navigate non-monogamy and polyamory in a post-COVID world, it still exists, by the way. Go get vaccinated.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
What do you think? Joint or separate?
Okay. First of all, thank you, plug. Get vaccinated. Let's move on to the real issue of the day, which I'm gonna go ahead and take my spectacles off just for a moment so that I can fully get into the emotional state that I need to be in to have this conversation. You know, dear viewers, that I will be frank with you. I will be very, very frank. My experience is that when I'm on a little app, you know, when I'm on a little... Sorry, I had to fish around in my pocket. The gag is already gone. Oh, it's not even in my pocket. When I'm on a little app and I'm doing a little, you know, swiping, if I see a joint profile on a Tinder or an OkCupid, etc., it's a pass for me. And everyone's a little bit different, but let me try to explain to you why I have that feeling. It's just that now this is also, again, just for me, I'm a very mano a mano person, okay?
That's true.
I'm someone who's been in a long-term relationship with my primary. I'm not looking to add people to that relationship. So I don't consider myself to be polyamorous.
Yeah.
My understanding of that definition is that you fall in love with multiple people and you form a unit of multiple people who regularly interact. You know, we're all sort of invested in each other's emotional state and our activities. I'm not looking for that personally. So that's one piece of it, is I'm looking for mano a mano. That's just, you know, I would like to be your friend, and I would also like to have some sexy times.
Yes. Well, and I think
that's where I'm at.
That makes sense because that kind of reflects what you're looking for. So for you, the lack of swipe is also like, I don't want to get involved.
Yes. Yeah. Because it's hard for me. It's hard enough to manage the emotions of one other person. And when you start, it gets exponentially more when more people get involved. Thing number two is that when I see, this is going to be a little bit of a broad generalization, darling.
What else do we do here?
If you'll permit me. When I see a Brad and a Karen show up on a joint profile, it usually has some red flags. You know when you're on Tinder and you see a guy holding a fish and you think, I don't want to go in for all that.
I don't want to be a hook fish.
It's like, are you trying to provide for me? What's happening?
Romantic.
Usually there's pictures where people are together and it's like we're not comfortable with both people experiencing equal amounts of pleasure. Like, it just feels a little bit lopsided. And I don't know if they're going to be able to handle the situation where I'm going to come in, I'm not going to be interested in both Brad and Karen. I'm going to maybe only be interested in Brad, you know?
Right. And
that conversation, particularly as a trans person who has been approached by many couples in her past, can be somewhat exhausting. Yeah. So I'm like, you know, if it's between Brad and Karen and someone who is by themselves, that's just where I'm going to go. Maybe that's unfair of me. I totally acknowledge that. But I think those are the three reasons that I'm working with.
It's your journey, and it's also like, hey, if it's unfair of you, who fucking cares? It's what you need and what you want. Like, I don't think I think that's a value judgment we don't need. I think for me, when I see the joint couple account, my immediate thought is, really, someone doesn't trust someone else. Now, that could go the other way, because I think also, like, it could be this, hey, like, we do want to do this together and we do have a space, but oftentimes it will be, oh, we had separate accounts, something went haywire, right? And now we still want to move forward in this part. We're still trying to fucking figure this out.
Yes.
But now nobody trusts each other, which is not a good plan for any relationship, monogamy or non-monogamous or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing where I'm like, okay, is this something where it's like, well, no, we like playing together. cool. If you're not into that, I'm not going to swipe on it. But what's the reason for the joint account? Because I think for a lot of couples, it's like, oh, this saves us time. So I'm not going out with you a couple times. And I'm like, oh, my partner might be blah, blah, blah. And they're just like, no. And I appreciate the lack of time suck there. But I also hear like, I don't know. Like, I mean.
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
That's the receiving end of that. Like, you're on there, Brad and Karen, and it's like, all right, well, Brad, gets none of the message and Karen gets all of them. And like,
Brad and
what
Janet.
What did I do to Brad? Brad and Janet. Brad and Janet. Right. It's keeping with the theme.
Damn it, Janet.
You know what I mean?
And there's Frankenfurter right in the middle.
Too high up. I know.
Babe.
It's too high up and I can't quarterback and I hate it.
Isn't it amazing?
Bring out my bush side.
Isn't it amazing? Brief aside I've always been fascinated by signals that are projected by costuming, but I'm really talking about clothing, but like this is costuming. That are like projected by clothing, but also gestures. I find that so interesting, and I think this is what theater is really like. Isn't it amazing how, Brooke, how you change in the signals that you're sending, and how like, yeah. Now I look like a lesbian from the 30s, and I'm here for it.
I do like it. It's very Amelia Earhart.
Yeah, like, you want to come up in my plane?
I want to come up in my plane parts.
Yeah. So we did have a comment that joint accounts are too creepy to me. If you can't trust your partner, then you don't belong in the lifestyle. But this is my opinion. See, this is the thing. I think some people maybe have had that conversation, and they are embarking on this journey together, and they actually do want to like engage in experiences together.
But how do we tell?
Let's look at the swinger community, right? Because swingers will typically like swing with other couples. Sometimes couples will swing with another individual. So like it's a very broad set of experiences.
I do think it's interesting kind of coming out of, people are like, I think it's interesting that online dating is keeping the video date options, and I love that. And I'm like, I'm here for it. I'm just like, I also think that's, it's so difficult to feel that chemistry, anywhere but in person. Because even if you do a video date, it does feel so different than in person.
Yeah.
Like just pheromones and how people smell and like they're, you know what I mean? That physical chemistry.
How people smell.
I know, you love it. You love a tractor salesman, girl. You love the way a tractor. Okay, we talk about our blue collar fetish, so.
Girl! We said there were certain things we weren't going to talk about in this program. When I agreed to do this with you, I hate this job. I hate it here. No, I'm just kidding.
Take your headphones off. No, not your blue collar fetish.
Oh, okay.
Blue collar fetish, because we were all raised with like Dirty Dancing and Roadhouse.
Yes,
and
Roadhouse.
Pretty much just Patrick Swayze as a greaseball. But in Roadhouse, like the woman was an ER doctor and she walked away from her shift for a part-time bouncer. And that's the kind of energy I brought into every relationship in my 20s, and I don't need it anymore.
Okay, well, let's be very clear, because I think we're in danger of sounding a little bit privileged in that. Oh,
that's fine. I don't want to date a part-time bouncer. I'm here for that. I'm here for that conversation. You know what's sexy? Full-time employment.
Yeah, part-time bouncer. My part-time bouncer days are long over as well. But if there are any,
I'm not saying you have to be an ER doctor. I'm just saying if I'm an ER doctor, I'm not going to leave my shift and patients in peril to go save my part-time bouncer boyfriend I've only known for a couple of days.
Yes, and if there are any full-time bouncers out there,
call Eileen.
You can just let me know, and I will teach you all about costume jewelry.
Just rewatch Dirty Dancing through the eyes of the dad, and just call me.
Just call me. Oh, girl, there were so many things that we just touched on that I don't even remember where we came from.
I know, and I don't remember where we're going. No, I do remember where we're going, which is yes, the coming back out. So I feel like the bars are coming back open. What's going on?
Yes.
I feel like Daddy's had a thing. Like it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And getting back out there, of course, safely, and also trying to like re-navigate because everyone's relationship status like changed during COVID, except yours, girl. God love you. But everyone else I know, babies were born, divorces were had, engagements happened, like crazy, crazy shit.
Babies having babies.
I just feel like I need to do something on my Instagram story every other week that's like, hey, if you're new here, here's what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like,
well,
it's
I'm
crazy.
going nuts. The stir craziness after a year and change is very real. I did have a show at District West a couple weeks ago after reaching peak immunity. So the great thing, by the way, if we need another plug for those who may be watching who are on the fence, the great thing about being vaccinated is you go out and you don't have to worry anymore so much about people, possibly contracting, passing, all that stuff. You don't have to worry about that as much. So anyway,
we love it.
But I'm like, how do I rejoin the human race? Because I had a hard enough time feeling human as it is before. Like, I've always felt a little bit like a space alien. I can't imagine why.
Girl, no, I think
space
that is real.
Alien,
And I think it's kind of like
She-T phone home. And so now I'm like, have you ever done a video date? I've never done a video date on a dating app because I remembered a side story I was going to tell about smells. So
okay, I'll tell the video date story and then you tell the smells story.
Okay, so I've never done a video date per se. I've had a couple calls on Snapchat, but that's a matter between her and the Lord. But back in the day,
praise him.
He's risen. Back in the day, I was a theater kid. I was a theater nerd in high school, and I did the complete works of Shakespeare abridged.
Of course you
remember that? Of course I do. Because I was a very character comedy actor.
Yes.
And so it was me and two other male friends. And if you haven't seen the show before, that is an abbreviated comedy version of like lots of different works by Shakespeare as done by three different people playing all the characters.
It's so bad.
It's so hard. It's really, really difficult.
Oh yeah, it is really hard.
To execute. So we were so proud. Our little like baby high schooler selves were so proud that we did that show. And one of my cohorts, the other two, I was so secretly attracted to. And right underneath this bed, I have a journal that will never see the light of day that has poetry dedicated to this person.
You're reading it next week? My arm doesn't straighten. There we go. You're reading it next week. Oh my God, girl.
It's awful. And he left his hoodie backstage in the dressing room, and I stole it and pretended that I hadn't found it, and I gave it back to him after 2 weeks so that I could just like secretly like... Yeah, that happened in high school.
Oh, this is the smell story. Okay, okay, that makes more sense. I was like, what did you do with the hoodie?
Because it was just
it's
like
right here.
The smell is so powerful.
And I'm gonna say something out of context that's terrifying, but teenage boy smell, very strong. Anyways,
well, I like clean. I like clean smell, and it was just all like fresh laundry and Old Spice, and it was just like that. Just made it even better.
So you got a crush on his mom. So
I never thought of it that way before, but
girl.
Why do you think I look like this?
So no, I did do video dating, but actually I did it before the pandemic, which was like kind of hilarious. And I actually don't know. I don't know if the person is on here. So I met them, and they might be watching. Hello. We met in another city. Mm-hmm. And they were like, "Oh my God, like I want to stay in touch with you." And I was like, "Great." And they're like, well, I'll fly you back out. But in the meantime.
Yeah.
And we did a video date, and we did a couple video dates. But here was the thing. I didn't realize I was showing up for a date. So I like dressed up and I got my wine and I did my thing.
Oh my God.
He thought it was like a strip show. So he kept going to get more drinks and he kept taking off clothes. And I'm like, okay, but like, this is not what oh my God. So I was just a noob to the whole dating thing on video, but I feel like there's a lot more, I feel like people get a lot more comfortable more quickly.
Did he think it was chatterbait? I'm confused.
I don't know. I was also like, I think the way he met me, he thought everyone meets me and they think just a sidebar that I'm this like suave.
Everyone meets me and they think,
but everyone just thinks I'm like have all these experiences that I just don't have. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not naive or anything, but I think people have this vision of like what I'm like, and then I'm like,
it's because you're confident. I think that's what it is.
Maybe
if you have an ounce of confidence, I think people think that you are traveled, experienced. You're people.
I'm people, and it's not like whatever. It was like this moment of I guess because I think he thought I had done this before, and I hadn't, and it was a whole nightmare. And he was naked, and
so he thought he was going to give you a strip show? Is that what it was?
Well, I think it was kind of an I show you mine, you show me yours kind of thing. But
That's very gay. That's very gay.
It was very gay. I mean, this was a queer date. It was a queer date.
True. I just mean that's very gay male. Like, yeah, leave it to the man of like, well, I took something off. It's very, very transactional.
Yes, it felt very transactional, and there is a time and place for transactional, and we're always here for it, honey. But that was not the time or place.
So, Doc, I have to take a moment and correct you. It was not Axe body spray. It was Old Spice, because I can, if there's one thing I cannot abide in this world, it is Axe body spray.
Oh my God, this is hilarious. I love that you're like correcting me in the comments. Well, I love all these comments. Just shouts to everyone in the comments for keeping the conversation going. Frank, we love to see it. We love to see it.
And Kat says that Pam used to lend me a hoodie every time we weren't going to see each other for a while so I could have her smell. That's so sweet. See, that's the kind of thing I wanted when I was in high school. I used to like... Okay, let's not go down that path. That's a very dark path. But like,
I
the
love
poetry that I would journal about, because I did not start dating people until college. So if you can just imagine, picture it, 2006, 2007, this poor little repressed Harry Potter looking gay boy, just.
Girl, you know what? But now you knock them all down. Bowling references. It's these guns. Listeners,
it's all smoke and mirrors. I didn't even glue this lace down because that's a young...
It's on with the will of God. Praise him.
Praise him. Just persistence and God prayers. That's how it stays on.
Oh, we love our viewers. We love our commenters. Thank you so much for tuning in this week and every week. We will be here every Tuesday at 7, God willing. And we are just so excited to take this. We are going to keep this going. We know people are still home, and we still love seeing one another. And please tune in. Please subscribe and like us on YouTube. It would really help us out. We want you to keep coming because we love doing this. So we want to thank you again, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah. So, just remember to take it at your own pace, everyone. You don't have to put yourself out there completely all at once. And if you need someone to come and talk to answer questions, maybe if you have some topics you'd like to request, you can find us here Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also like our Facebook page. You can follow us on Instagram at Covered Dish. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can see all of our past episodes. So with that in mind, I hope you have a lovely rest of your week. Do take care of yourselves. And we shall see you next week for the next installment of Covered Dish.
Bye,
everyone.
y'all.